the Minister Nathi Mthethwa join us live on the show tonight. There's been a lot being discussed in the sporting fraternity over the last 48 hours because of the second wave of relief that is now being introduced between now and the end of August. To tell us more about this and give us more clarity on the matter, again, as always, it is our pleasure to welcome Mr. Nathi Mthethwa to Sport at Prime tonight. Mr. Minister, thank you for your time this evening. You had a very busy day yesterday announcing all the new protocols around the second wave of relief funding that has now been availed from today until the end of the month. 6,600 Rand was the figure that you provided with us yesterday. Is there some clarity behind how and why the number of 6,600 has been maxed as the number of relief available to an individual?
Well, it's the resources available, Mac, and that's what we could do if we were to reach the number of people we spoke about, more than 11,000. And we hope that even though it's not too much, but this is what we have, and it will go a long way in reaching out to those athletes and artists who were not fortunate enough in the first wave of COVID-19 relief fund.
Mr. Mthethwa, you've made it very clear that the funding will now be available, the applications, I beg your pardon, will be available until the end of the month. Is 2 weeks enough for the country to go through the various protocols required to get their application in? Is 2 weeks enough for your office to receive all of those, should the window not be bigger?
Well, we had to correct what happened in the past. So 2 weeks should be enough. You know, part of the problem during the first wave was that it was at the height of the lockdown, and the national state of disaster had just been pronounced by the president. So it was difficult for people to move around. This time around, it should be possible for people to, within 14 days, if really they need assistance, it should be possible for them to apply, yeah.
Mr. Mthethwa, a list of some of the individuals who qualify for the relief funding in the second wave: coaches, technical personnel, and most importantly, some might say freelance fitness instructors. Now with gyms opening today, there was a lot of excitement around gyms opening. Safety protocols must be observed. What was your reaction? What feedback did you receive from gyms opening around the country today?
Well, gyms have been interacting with us over a period of time, and we have been looking into their issue. We've reached a point where we really felt that they deserve to be given an opportunity to open so that their business will proceed after so many months for them not having been receiving or being in business. So we are happy because some have expressed that they've been waiting for this moment. So I think things will go accordingly and as they planned, because they had extensive plans and they will continue to interact with their plans to ensure that things get better, particularly at that level.
Mr. Mthethwa, how do we ensure that corruption doesn't sneak into this process? I remember hearing you speak about applicants will receive an SMS acknowledging and notifying their application. How do we ensure that if Marc Lewis applies for funding in the COVID relief fund, that your department receives my application and that I receive my funding as directed?
Well, remember, Mark, this is not the first time, it's a continuation. So we have emphasized right from the beginning that in the final analysis, the beneficiaries have to be artists, have to be athletes, and that has happened. What we are worried about, and we've put in place mechanisms to deal with, is a possibility of double dipping. And on that, we've ensured that we continuously publish those who have benefited and you know, get the provinces as well to publish their list so that people do not do the double dipping. But I think that as things stand now, many athletes have been able to be reached through this process. It should continue.
Mr. Minister, what lessons did you learn from the first wave of relief? You are spot on. This is the second wave now, more funding being availed to artists and sportsmen and women around the country. What perhaps went wrong in the first wave that has taught you some lessons on how better to bring in the second wave of funding here?
Well, the first one was to thoroughly consult with the sector organizations. We didn't have much time to do that. This time around, we were able to do that, and the criteria we came up with is mainly due to their generous contribution thereof. And secondly, the period which we announced for people to apply was not, in fact, it was about 5-6 days. And with that, we've learned, we need to extend that. But also, the other thing is that we thought that it would be important to tap into the resources and the ICT and the entities of the department, which has been doing this thing of paying people on time and so on. So we brought all those ones on board to ensure that people get their relief as far as possible, but also continue to, learn from the past. And we've put in mechanisms to try and mitigate that.
Mr. Mthethwa, I have no doubt that over the next fortnight we'll have an opportunity to catch up again to find out how efficient the second wave of funding has been. But before I let you go tonight, please indulge me on some other matters now that I have an opportunity and have an audience with you. News surfaced today around the Momentum Proteas, the women's Proteas team, who will not be travelling to the UK to participate in a cricket tour. We've been told that a lot of the budget was going to be picked up by the UK Cricket Board. We've seen some athletes travel abroad. Apparently it was from the departments that did not allow them to travel. Is there any clarity on the matter as to how and why the women's Proteas team was declined the opportunity to go play abroad? Surely at this time we need to make friends with our partners abroad?
Yes, we surely need to make friends. But remember that even at this point, alert level 2, which we are going into, international travel is not open. People who have been benefiting out of that are South Africans who have been stuck outside of the country, South Africa, and they are allowed to come in. So we hope that as we move with the process of easing the lockdown, we will be able to catch up in those areas we will still do, but those we are unable to. There is nothing much we can say about it.
And provisions couldn't have been made, Mr. Minister. I understand that what is shared for one must be shared for all, but surely at this stage provisions could have been made, I ask? Well,
remember that we have regulations which we follow. Now, a minister from any other portfolio cannot come up with directions which are not based on regulations. So if regulations state as they do, going against that would be really going against the law.
And then finally, Mr. Mthethwa, will you be stepping in to assist with what is taking place on the men's side of things? And as far as the boardroom is concerned, Cricket South Africa seems to be in all sorts of turmoil. Chris Nzani, the president, has now resigned. Jacques Fall, the acting CEO, has resigned. There is an upcoming annual general meeting. It looks as if Cricket South Africa needs all the help it can get. Will the sports department be stepping in to oversee the matters and perhaps provide some assistance there?
Well, we've been intervening on the matter of cricket, and they will continue to do as much as the law allows us to do to assist the process, because we want cricket, like any other sporting code, to come back on stream and even further represent the country There are specific areas, though, we have raised quite sharply with the cricket, South Africa yesterday. And as things stand, we're waiting for them to come back and report on those areas, which have been in the public domain, mainly, as you say, both at the level of the boardroom and also in the field of play. So we hope that they will be able to live up to expectation, rise to the occasion as we spelled out yesterday, so that things are normalized at that level. They have to be normalized.
And Mr. Mthethwa, finally from me, we've seen a lot of sporting associations in the past be placed under administration when things are going south. Based on what you've seen, the evidence that is before you, do you feel that placing Cricket South Africa under administration is a possibility, is an option?
You know, Mark, that as the department, we are governed by the Act, the National Sports and Recreation Act, which enjoins us to have as our first port of call the Confederation. We engage with federations as well, but the Confederation is where we take things to, and we will be meeting them soon. As you know, that they were finalizing meeting all the federations, so we'll be meeting SASCOC to raise issues we have picked up in the process and some of what you are raising.
All right.